Hello, welcome to the stream. Today we're starting a new campaign. But before that, just a little venting. It is incredibly hot today. It is far too hot. It is 29 degrees here, which I'm pretty sure is beyond the melting point of the human brain. I'm fairly confident that that's a fact. It is definitely too hot. On the bright side, the summer solstice is this weekend, so the nights will start to draw in, as my grandma would say. So hopefully it will start to cool down. But today is hot. But we are undaunted, as we are beginning a new campaign. So let's switch over to the camera view. Yes, it's roughly a billion Fahrenheit. So I think that's the conversion factor. So we will switch over to the camera view, and we've not used this view in a long time. In fact, there were cobwebs on the camera arm. It's been so long since we've done this. But here is Ironsworn. This is what we'll be playing. And if you've not heard of Ironsworn, I assume you've been living under a rock, because along with like 1,000-year-old vampire, this is probably what the game people think of if you say solo RPGs. I have here 3 books. I have the Ironsworn core book. This is all it's all print on demand, so it's not the most amazing binding, but it works. I have the Ironsworn core book. I have Delve, which is a supplement for, I guess, dungeon crawling or just more generally site-based adventuring. If you want something to kind of help you generate adventure locations as you go. And I also have Lodestar, which is a kind of cheat book, I guess. It's got like a summary of all the rules. Yeah, I've played Ironsworn before, not for quite a while, but it's definitely a common entry point to solo RPGs, I think, simply because it's just so well known. So the system is pretty straightforward. I mean, you can see how thin the summary booklet is. But the core mechanic is whenever we want to make a skill check or whenever we want to do a thing, we will roll a d6 and 2 d10s. Nice and balanced, good. We'll add our relevant stat to the d6 and we want to compare to the d10s. If we roll greater than both of the d10s, we've got a strong hit, like a complete success, everything has gone perfectly. If we get above one of the d10s, but equal to or below the other, that's a kind of mixed success, or a weak hit, as it says. And if we get equal to or below both d10s, that is a miss. And if our d10s match, something special happens. But the way the game works, the way the mechanics are structured, it is done in terms of all these, what it calls moves. So if you've played any sort of Powered by the Apocalypse game, this will be very familiar to you. So a very common move we might do, for example, is Face Danger, which says, when you attempt to do something risky or react to an imminent threat, envision your action and roll. And there's a bunch of options as to how we could do this. Depending on our approach, you might use a different stat. And then it says, on a strong hit, you're successful. On a weak hit, you succeed but face a troublesome cost, and it gives us a list of costs. And on a miss, you fail, your progress is undermined, pay the price. And all the moves are kind of structured like this. So, if you're trying to do something and you think maybe your roll is appropriate here, you flip through the moves, see what seems appropriate, and roll the appropriate one. And we've got tables for inspiration here. So you have action and theme, oracle tables, all sorts of random tables that will be useful, including name generation. If you want to quickly come up with some adventure, you could roll for some trouble that's happening in a settlement. Maybe there's been a dangerous discovery in the settlement of Blackmark. What is this dangerous discovery? I don't know. Maybe it's something we might need to help deal with. And that's it. It's a pretty straightforward system. The book is quite chunky, but that's just because it's got lots of explanation and obviously more detail than exists in this rules summary. So I was thinking about what the campaign should be, because I knew I kind of probably wanted to do Ironsworn, Another contender for this campaign was Kal Arath, but then I thought I'd be playing a bunch of hex-based games in a row. Let's do something different. So I knew I wanted to do some sort of Ironsworn, and I wasn't really sure what to do because the default setting is kind of Viking adventures. But last week I was reading Paradise Lost, as you do, which is, of course, John Milton's famous, massive blank verse poem about the original sin of Satan rebelling against God, being cast out into hell, being full of vengeance, going to Eden, tempting Eve, and the fall of man and all that good stuff. And then Paradise Regained is the story of Jesus resisting the temptation of Satan in the desert. And I like this kind of stuff. I like like mythology and religion and faith. I think it's all very interesting, even though I'm not religious myself. And so I thought, what if instead of playing an adventurer, we play a missionary? What if we play someone who is an outsider to this world and has kind of come to the Ironlands and is trying to convert these people to the true faith? I looked it up. This is actually not what happened in Scandinavia. Apparently there wasn't like a concerted missionary conversion efforts. Apparently it was a bit more organic than that, but it's fantasy Scandinavia. We can make it up. And Paradise Lost is pretty cool. It's got great lines such as better to serve in hell than serve in heaven. So let's see what's a cool bit to read. So it's actually quite an interesting poem if you've never read it. It begins with, it's kind of written somewhat in the style of like Greek poems. So if you're vaguely familiar with like ancient Greek stuff, they always kind of begin by saying like, "Sing, O Muse, the tale of such and such," where the muse is a kind of heavenly figure who kind of sees all and inspires poets. And this poem is actually kind of written in the same sort of way. It begins, imploring the muse, but the muse is kind of cast in like a heavenly fashion as like an angel or something. So yeah, it's quite fun. So let's see, what do we got here? Nice. So this is kind of the summary of the whole thing. Say first, for heaven hides nothing from thy view, nor the deep tracts of hell. Say first what cause moved our grandparents in that happy state, favoured of heaven so highly, to fall off from their Creator and transgress his will, for one restraint, lords of the world besides. Who first seduced them to that foul revolt? The infernal serpent, he it was whose guile stirred up with envy and revenge, deceived the mother of mankind, what time his pride had cast him out from heaven, with all his host of rebel angels, by whose aid, aspiring to set himself in glory above his peers, trusted to have equalled the Most High, if he opposed, and with ambitious aim against the throne and monarchy of God, raised impious war in heaven, and battle-proud with vain attempt. Him the almighty power hurled headlong flaming from the ethereal sky, with hideous ruin and combustion down to bottomless perdition, there to dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire, who durst defy the omnipotent to arms, 9 times the space that measures day and night to mortal men, he with his horrid crew lay vanquished, and so on and so forth. So it's not written in the easiest language, but it's a fun read when you get into it. Anyway, that's kind of what inspired me. Maybe we could play a kind of missionary-style character, and so that's what we've gone for. And let's switch back to the virtual tabletop. This will probably be a bit clunky, as I've not played Ironsworn in a while, but let's have a look at our character. And let me just move all this camera stuff out the way, because it's right in my face. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Right, so we have our character. They are called Cuthbert, which seemed like a good Christian name to me. And the way characters in Ironsworn work is they're kind of mechanically quite simple, but they are built out of these little cards here called assets. And an asset is kind of, it's like a little package of rules they've got. Like if this were like a more D&D style game, they'd probably be called feats and be structured a little bit differently. But that's the sort of thing we've got. And you begin with 3 assets. They come in a few different flavors. So, and assets are, let's see, page 39 here. So we have companions. We do not have a companion, but companions are, what it sounds like. So got an example here of a hawk companion. A companion could also be a person who you're traveling with. You can be traveling with someone who isn't represented by a companion, but that just means they don't really provide any mechanical benefits. We have paths. All of my assets that I picked are paths, and we'll go through them in a moment. So paths are kind of things about your background, things about your skills or training that you've got. They're kind of about who you are as a person. We have combat talents. So example here is a shield bearer. If you wield a shield, when you face danger using your shield as cover, add +1. If we don't have this talent and we use a shield, it doesn't provide us a mechanical benefit, but it can still impact the narrative. And finally, we have rituals, which are magic. And I chose not to pick any combat talents because I figured our character, they're a competent fighter, as all Ironsworn characters are, but they are ultimately a man of peace. And so I thought giving them a combat talent is kind of setting the wrong emphasis for the character. And rituals, I'm sure they see all rituals as like pagan, terrible pagan things, like the tricks of demons and so on. And so it would not be appropriate for them to have a ritual. So let's have a look at what paths we've got. We should also look at what our world truths are. But we'll start with the paths and then jump up to the truths. So our first asset is the Devotant path. Their god's name is Yahweh. And the relevant stat I picked here is Heart. So stats in Ironsworn, we have 5 of them. We have Edge, which is kind of like your... let's find them. It's like how good you are at, like... Let me just find them. Characters. Where is it in here? Your character. Stats. Here we go. Edge is quickness, agility, and prowess in ranged combat, so it's kind of your dexterity equivalent. Heart is your courage, willpower, empathy, sociability, and loyalty. That is what I have applied to my Devotant path. We have Iron, which is physical strength, endurance, aggressiveness, and prowess in close combat. So our character's probably not going to be doing much close combat, but if need be, he can defend himself. We have Shadow, which is your sneakiness, deceptiveness, and cunning. And finally, Wits, my character's best stat, which is your expertise, knowledge, and observation. So if I were trying to optimize here, it would have been better to associate Wits with this path, but I figured Heart makes more sense, as the love of God is kind of one of his defining aspects. So what Devotant gets us, it says, each asset kind of has 3 points, and we start with one of them, which is the kind of filled in one. And when we advance, when we get XP and improve, we can color in the extra ones to kind of unlock these things. So what we have to start with is when you say your daily prayers, you may secure an advantage, which is a move. Let us find the move in Lodestar, which is annoyingly a slightly different aspect ratio to the other one. So let's just there we go. Let's embiggen that. So when you secure an advantage, here we go, which is when you assess a situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage. When you say your daily prayers, you may secure an advantage by asking your god to grant a blessing. If you do, roll plus your god stat, which is Heart in this case. On a hit, gain +2 momentum. And momentum is this track here on the left, is a kind of resource, sort of. We can spend this to... we can essentially replace a die roll with this, if that would help us in a situation. So when we say our daily prayers, which is a Heart roll, we can get momentum, representing kind of guidance that we have received from our god. Our second asset is the Lawkeeper path. You are the bearer of a mystical archive. When you secure an advantage or gather information using lore recalled from your studies, add +1. If you have a few hours to search the archive, add +2. On a hit, envision the obscure but helpful knowledge you put to use. It says we can ask the Oracle if unsure, and the Oracle is essentially just a table we can roll on to get guidance. And again, take +1 momentum. Our character, the way I'm seeing it, is an outsider. We're going to open with them arriving in this land, so they don't really have like a library or a chest of books or something. I think their mystical archive is a Bible they've brought with them and an encyclopedic knowledge of church lore. So this like recalling lore or studying the archive is kind of like poring through their Bible, finding how it could be relevant to this situation. Recalling lore could be like remembering a story they've read, like something in the Bible or like a story of a saint or something. Yes, secure advantage is very important. And our final path is Story Weaver. When you secure an advantage, compel or forge a bond by sharing an inspiring or enlightening song, poem, or tale. Envision the story you tell. Then add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. And I'm kind of imagining this would be, sharing a story from the Bible or the life of a saint or something. So it does somewhat overlap with Lawkeeper, but it's not quite the same. So let's go through our world truths. So when you begin your Ironsworn campaign, there's a kind of like worksheet of like stuff about the world to kind of help you flesh out the details, because the setting is intentionally fairly vague, and it gives you like some answers you can choose from, or you can make up your own things. So what I've come up with is about the old world. So by default, the setting of Ironsworn is it's a kind of faraway land that's a bit difficult to get to. It's pretty isolated from like the world as a whole. But I didn't want that. I wanted something more like the relation between like Britain and Norway, like geographically. So I've said the Ironlands are separated from the rest of the settled world by a sea 300 miles across at its narrowest. Skilled seafarers are needed to cross the serpent-filled waters, and most of these are Ironlander raiders, though traders are not unknown. This makes the Ironlanders well known and feared in the coastal regions of the Old World, but the Ironlands themselves a mystery, said to be peopled by all sorts of monsters. So I'm envisioning it's take like Scandinavia, but just like cut off the connection to mainland Europe and maybe shift it a little bit further north and put sea serpents in the middle. So we have Vikings, people come from the south, people come south from the Ironlands to raid and trade, not many people go north. So our character is stepping into something of an unknown world, as they are a southerner. For Iron, I wasn't really happy with any of the suggested answers here. So I came with something that's not amazing, but don't know, maybe we'll change this. The imposing hills and mountains of the Ironlands are rich in iron ore. Most prized of all is the star-forged black iron. I did briefly have another idea. Let's just find the world truths. So one of the suggested ones is this third one, which is pretty cool. Inscrutable metal pillars are found throughout the land. They are iron grey and smooth as river stone. No one knows their purpose. Some say they are as old as the world. Some, such as the iron priests, worship them and swear vows upon them. Most make the warding sign and hurry along their way when they happen across one. The pillars do not tarnish. Even the sharpest blade cannot mark them. I briefly thought it could be kind of cool if there are these metal pillars and they are like the spears wielded by Satan's angels in the rebellion against God. But I don't know. I thought maybe that might be a little bit too fantasy. I'm not sure. So I went for the first one. There's just lots of iron to mine here. For legacies, we've got the Ironlands are old. People have lived in this inhospitable land since time immemorial. Old ruins can be found along the coast and in the mountains where a resource, once plentiful, was exhausted long ago and the people moved away. So it's a place that's been settled for a very long time. It's been somewhat isolated for a very long time. We'll find a lot of old things. For communities, they forged the Ironlands into a home. Villages within the havens, which is kind of the safer area, kind of closer to the coast, are connected by well-trod roads. Trade caravans travel between settlements in the havens and those in outlying regions. Even so, much of this land is untamed. So even though it's been settled for a long time and there's lots of like old settlements and ruins and like abandoned mines and such like everywhere, people are still like fairly spread out. It's not very like civilized, I guess. For leaders, each community has its own leader called a Jarl. Every 7th spring, the people affirm their current Jarl or choose a new one. The Jarls swear fealty to a hereditary hertug, a sort of petty king. Some Jarls wear the Iron Circlet reluctantly, while others thirst for power and gain it through schemes or threats. No Hertug is reluctant. So I added this Hertug kind of layer in. If this is one of the truths from the Ironsworn book, just with the word Overseer replaced with Jarl, but I added in this kind of petty king layer above them. So I think it could be interesting to have like 2 layers of authority, of governance, where we have these like very local rulers who kind of manage a specific, like an individual settlement, and these people they're pretty normal people. They're kind of elected from their communities. Some of them don't want the responsibility, but then above them we've got this hereditary leadership, and those people do see it as like their right to be in charge. And this ties into my character's background vow, which is kind of the main overall quest, which is to convert Hertug Olaf to the true faith. We'll probably not achieve this in like the 5 or so sessions we'll play this before switching over to something else, but this will kind of guide our character's actions. Then we have defense. Warbounds are rallied to strike against enemies, defend holdings, and raid the lands across the Serpent Sea. Though not nearly as impressive as the armies of Rome or the Franks in days gone by, these forces are as well trained and equipped as their communities can manage, and are a force to be reckoned with. Their banners and ships are adorned with scenes of battle and myth. For mysticism, we've got that magic is rare and dangerous, the province of spirits and gods. Some few, the Galdaman, know songs of power and secret rites. Religion, we've got the people honour a pantheon of warrior gods. Worship of Odin, chief of these gods, is widespread, but putting him aside, different communities favour different gods. Firstborn, which are kind of the like elves and things, and the kind of the default setting. The Ironlanders believe that deep in the mountains and in natural places of power, dwarves, elves, trolls, and other such folk can be found. These beings properly dwell in their own worlds, you know, kind of harkening back to like a Norse cosmological view of the different realms, and come into ours only rarely and for a specific purpose. Beasts. The beasts of old are nothing but legend. A few who travel into the deep forests and high mountains return with wild tales of monstrous creatures, but they are obviously delusional. No such things exist. And finally, horrors. Nothing but stories to frighten children. So it's these are kind of fairly close to the truths you get in the Ironsworn book, but kind of reflavored a little bit with like a horrible, like super casual understanding of like Norse mythology shoehorned in. In addition to our world truths and our assets and our background vow, we also start with 3 connections, 3 bonds. I don't know who these are because we are a stranger to this world, so I kind of left them blank, and I think what I'll do is I might just, you know, decide if an NPC comes up who we seem to kind of hit it off with, maybe we'll just put them down as a bond. Normally you have to make a roll to get a bond. It is the Forge a Bond move, which is a heart roll, but since we have these kind of unfilled ones from character creation, maybe we'll just kind of automatically succeed on the first few. Like maybe the community we, you know, first arrive in when we cross the sea, maybe that place will just kind of become a bond automatically. We'll see. And we also start with a kind of initial vow. So we have our background vow, which is our main quest, but then we have an initial vow, which is kind of drawn from what situation we find ourselves in at the beginning of the campaign. So I'm thinking it is going to be to establish a church. And that is our character. So this one here, this establish a church, this is a dangerous vow, which means we can accomplish this actually relatively easily. So if we look at how progress tracks work, for a dangerous thing, whenever we complete like a meaningful step towards this, we fill 2 whole boxes of the track, and the more boxes that are filled, the better our chance of succeeding when we roll to see if we do it. So there are 10 boxes, we fill 2 boxes each time, so we can do like 4 or 5 like major things, and we'll be pretty much done with this. Of course, we also kind of need like a narrative like conclusion to it. We can't just roll to establish a church if we've never met anyone. You kind of need to be around people to establish a church, but we'll see. But the very first thing we have to do to begin the campaign is we need to envision our starting situation and then roll to swear this vow, which will determine how good or bad our starting conditions are. So let's find the swear an iron vow move. And this is the very first roll we make. We are unable to kind of get a bonus by, getting an advantage from our daily prayers. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So I imagine the situation we're in is we have arranged passage to the Ironlands upon a merchant ship. The crew of the ship no doubt think this is very unusual. Very few people travel north to the Ironlands, but we have paid them or convinced them in whatever way that they should take us. And so we're on the ship and we kind of see the Ironlands approaching. The waters, I've said, are infested with sea serpents, so maybe we've had a few close calls in the journey. But land is finally in sight. I don't think we see a settlement immediately. We just kind of see the cliffs kind of rising up in front of us and trees and a very wild looking place. And the captain maybe turns to us and says there it is. It's got a proper name. Is it the Ragged Coast? There it is, the Ragged Coast. Maybe we're sailing through the Barrier Islands at the time. And the end of our journey is nearly in sight. So Cuthbert kind of looks seriously at the horizon and maybe raises his eyes to heaven and reaffirms his certainty that he is going to establish a church and convert these pagans to the true faith. So this is a heart roll, which I have a 2 in, so I'm rolling my d6 and my 2 d10s. I have got a 7 total on the d6, that's 5 plus 2, because my heart is a 2. I got a 10 here, and a 4 here, so I am greater than one of them, but equal to or under the other one, so this is a weak hit rather than a strong hit, but at least it wasn't a miss. So, on a weak hit, you are determined, but begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum, so we'll shift this up to a 3, and envision what you do to find a path forward. So maybe, I guess we don't know much about the Ironlands. We know the basics of the language at least, but most of what people in the south know is more superstition than actual certainty. So maybe we kind of thought they're a merchant ship, they'll be coming from some sort of significant port city, and then there'll be roads leading to other cities and so on. Maybe not a big city, but some sizable settlement. And the ship, I think we need a name for the captain of this ship. Let's go to our name tables. The captain of the ship is 3, Cadogan. Let's just start putting some bullet points down here. Maybe we've kind of grown a little bit friendly with Cadogan over this journey, and as we know that he's kind of bringing us back to his what we think is probably some sort of city. But as we get closer, we start to see the smoke of cooking fires, and we see buildings and things, and we are somewhat crestfallen to realize that we're kind of heading towards a tiny little village. We expected to go to some sort of significant port, like a London, perhaps, however big London was in the 1200s or whenever, pretty big. But it's a small village, and we kind of ask, like, Cadigan, is this? I thought we were going to like a trade hub, like a market, like a port city, and Cadigan has to explain that they don't really have such things here. He's like, well, the Hertog lives in like a big town, and then he describes something that sounds really small to us. Most people live in these small villages, and like the merchants and things, they're just doing very like small local trade. So we're a little bit set back in terms of like finding lots of people. So I think we probably need to find like a more serious settlement to begin with. So let's see. Envision what we do to find a path forward. I think we probably want to spend a little time here when we arrive. Maybe like practice the language a bit. You know, being in a small settlement, that could be an advantage here, because there's not that many people. So maybe improve our knowledge of the language a bit, and try to learn a bit about other settlements and like how things are arranged here. And then we will want to set off on a journey to some larger settlement where we can actually start to make progress towards, you know, establishing a church. And I did a little bit of brainstorming as like how we can actually do this, what sort of things we might do, and I came up with, we can always kind of fall back to the seven, whatever they're called, the seven like classical virtues of chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and humility. So we can, or like the deeds of saints. So I had a quick look, and there's I've forgotten his name, there's a saint of Oslo who was remembered for defending a woman who had been accused of a crime, and like sheltering her on his boat and bringing her to safety. So we can always do things like helping people. Maybe we can like pray for guidance and find a lost child who had wandered off into the woods, or like calm a wild beast or something. You know, things that will kind of help demonstrate the power of our God, of our faith, and like sway these people into thinking, oh, this guy, you know, this guy maybe knows something. Okay, so we're in this small settlement. Let's come up with a name for this settlement. It is in the settlement names oracle. Let's just go on the quick settlement name generator. Oh, I have dropped a die. Okay, we've got red. Red Mount. Or possibly Red Falls. Red Falls. I like Red Falls. Maybe we can tie this in with the like rich iron ore. Maybe there's a this little village that we're pulling into. Maybe it is by a kind of coastal mountain that's very rich in iron ore, and there's like a red stained waterfall kind of pouring out of it. It's just water stained by like rust. So we have Captain Cadigan, the merchant. Got notes. Village of Red Falls. It is a small coastal settlement. Small coastal settlement by an iron ore rich mountain with a waterfall of red rusty water. So maybe the mountain even looks like it's bleeding as we pull up. Right, I think we'll probably spend a few days here without much difficulty. There is a move for like spending time in a community. I suppose we are seeking assistance. But we're not really like recovering from anything. All of our stats are at their maximum because we've only just started. So maybe let's just say that a few days pass. We maybe spend some time in maybe we're staying with Cadogan. Maybe Cadogan could be a bond. I don't know. Possibly. So maybe we stay with Cadogan for a few days, just kind of getting the lay of the land here. And I am curious if there's anything we can do in this community to help. Yes, gathering information. And we also have our paths that we can call upon here for help. So, yeah, let's gather information. Let's ask, about the local area, about other settlements. Is there anything we should know, anything to be aware of, that sort of thing. And so we are rolling plus wits, which is our best stat. We have a 3 in wits. Okay, that is another weak hit. So the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. So there could be like bandits or something in the area, or maybe hang on, let's ask the oracle. I'm thinking like maybe bandits, or like another settlement here is like hostile to our religion, and so we kind of have to keep things on the down low as we travel. But yeah, let's ask the oracle, which sadly this is not a hyperlink. It would be very nice if it was. But let's see. Ask the oracle. Yeah, okay. So I guess we're choosing between like bandits, or maybe we could even look at the action and theme tables. Yeah, let's see what is the theme of this difficulty. We have a 23, a tool, or perhaps a 32. Superstition. I like superstition. Okay. So the superstitions, let's try this into our truths. So maybe there is a local Galderman, these people who know songs of power and secret rites, and he is quite influential in this area. We of course think this is like a horrible demon worshipping witch, but he's quite influential and has maybe he's like heard of us, heard of our arrival. We don't really know how, but he's heard of our arrival and is like actively speaking out against us. So we have to be careful. What's a good name for this Galderman? He's called Kabira. So I guess we're kind of safe while we're in this little village that we're friendly with, but if we're traveling, it might be dangerous because Kabira and his followers will be looking out for us. I think let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's say that he does seem to be kind of supernaturally aware of like where we are and what we're doing. So either he has like spies watching us, or like his powers may be a bit more real than we might like to think. So I think dealing with this guy is our first challenge. And I would like to deal with him non-violently, if I can. I feel missionaries don't win friends by just going and stabbing the local like the local religious leaders. So probably the like appropriate like saintly way of dealing with this would be to kind of confront him and show that his powers are meaningless before the power of God. So I think let's go on a little journey to find Kabira. So we got a bunch of trackers here that I copied over earlier. Let's say this is just going to be a troublesome journey because he's pretty close by. So we shall pray to God for guidance. We shall secure an advantage by asking for a blessing on our journey, by asking that we find our way and nothing terrible happens to us as we travel through this strange and hostile land. That is another weak hit. Okay, so we have somewhat of an advantage. There's +1 momentum. We set off, I guess, feeling like emboldened, but with the knowledge that just because we've prayed for guidance and help doesn't mean that we're invulnerable. Do not test God, as is said. But we feel emboldened, and Cadogan is like, "Be careful, my friend. Kabira is a very powerful Galderman. You don't know because you're not from here, but he cursed a village who wronged him, and all their cattle, all their calves for the next 2 years were stillborn." We're like, "Don't worry, Cadogan. His power is just comes from deception, and it will not avail him before us." Let's set out on a journey. Shall undertake a journey. As a troublesome journey, we shall mark 3 progress per waypoint. So we'll find him pretty quickly. I'm thinking he's probably in like a cave nearby. That seems like a suitable place for a witch to live. So we are rolling plus wit, which is our best stat, so that's okay. And we do have 5 momentum now, so kind of building this up. We could use this to help us if we roll really terribly, like we did just roll really terribly. So potentially we could, let's see. So momentum, you can kind of spend it. I could trade this +5 here to turn this into a 5. That would still be a weak hit, though, because we have an 8 total, which would be above 7, but equals or under 10. Alternatively, I could leave this at the 3, and we have a miss here. A miss could be appropriate, because I kind of want to let my momentum keep building up. It's good to be able to spend it when you really need it. And a miss could mean... So a miss means that you're waylaid by perilous events. Perhaps something Galderman related could happen to us. I don't think we'd have a run-in with his followers, but something could happen that seems a bit more than just coincidence. So let's see, what does it suggest for pay the price? I also found a handy little cheat sheet for paying the price, which I'll copy over here. So just tips on how to make paying the price a bit more fair, because something a lot of people do, something that I certainly did in my first few games of Ironsworn, was when you pay the price, it's like, oh, something bad's happened. That means I need to lose health, or lose health or spirit or supply, or something like mechanically bad happens. But the guidance kind of here, and this isn't guidance in the book, this is just kind of general community wisdom, I think, is that you can kind of group your paying the price into 2s. Like first you have a narrative thing which foreshadows the true price, and then when you pay the price again, you have the mechanical cost. Because if you just default to mechanical penalties, it's really easy to just essentially turn Ironsworn into a game with a death spiral. Oh wait, momentum doesn't change your action. What does momentum do? Am I forgetting what momentum does? Momentum. Ah, yes, you spend it to cancel challenge dice. Okay, that's different. Yes, okay. So I couldn't spend momentum in this case because it is not greater than or equal to a 7. Okay. Right. Well, I have to miss this roll then because I can't spend the momentum here. Yeah, so this kind of suggestion is you should group together your costs in twos, and you kind of alternate between narrative and mechanical costs, because if you always go for mechanical costs, it's very easy to end up in a death spiral. So I'm thinking we want some sort of narrative cost, like we have some sort of trouble in our journey. We can roll to see what it suggests that we pay the price for, and if we don't like it, we can always make something up. What do we got here? We have a 99. Roll twice more on this table. Okay. A 47. A new danger or foe is revealed. Okay. And a 26. Something of value is lost or destroyed. So a new danger or foe is revealed. Something of value is lost or destroyed. I do like the idea of tying this into like the magic of this Galderman that we're trying to find. Maybe as we go along, like we kind of know roughly the direction to go in. There's even maybe like a rough path, not very easy to follow, but there's kind of signs. But as we go along, the landscape around us seems to kind of shift and change, and we completely lose sight of this tenuous path. So we become lost, which is I guess that could be sufficient for paying the price. We've learned a new thing about this Galderman. He has the power to kind of confuse people at a distance. So he does have some real power then, which we'll have to worry about when we finally do catch up to him. Let's make this a little bit more journally, actually. So let's just split this up. So we have some characters, and we have like some notes. So what did we do to start with? We spent a few days in Red Falls, kind of learning about the local area, practicing our Ironlandish. And we learned that there is this local Galderman that he is quite well known and respected in the area. But he is against our foreign beliefs. We then set out to find him. And the first thing that happened is he calls forth illusions to lead us astray. So this shows that he does have some true power, it seems, which we will need to worry about. This is concerning. Yeah, there we go. And we get lost. To lead us astray and get us lost. So we didn't make any progress in this first attempt because of our miss. So we maybe we like set up camp when we realize that we're lost. Kind kind of pray that we will escape this trial and catch a rabbit, eat that rabbit, and then the following morning, feeling a little bit more confident again, we get up, resolved to kind of find the path again, find the landmarks that Cadogan told us about, and continue making our way towards Kabira. As we set off again, and we get a weak hit this time for our journey move. There's also a make camp roll, but yeah, we can just say that we made camp and not deal with it mechanically. So we did make a little bit of progress. So we reach a waypoint and we mark progress, but we suffer -1 supply. So maybe it takes like a long time for us to find the path again. Let's get a idea for what this milestone could be. How about places? Okay. $17 caravan. I don't think that makes sense. I think we're in the wilderness. Possibly 71. A lake. Okay. So we make our way to a lake, and we kind of recognize it from the description. And maybe the reason we lose some supply is maybe there's like stagnant pools of water in the area around this lake, and there's lots of insects and buzzing things, and it gets into some of our supply. So we realize that some of our food was not as well protected as it should be. But it was still a weak hit, so we do still make progress. So we check 3 boxes, as it is only a troublesome journey. I should also put in what this is. Find Kabira. So on the second day, we searched through the woods for any signs of the path or any landmarks. So we searched the woods for any signs of the path or the landmarks Cadogan told us of. Eventually, I put we, it's really I. I should find a companion, because then I can write we, and I just kind of default to writing we for things. So that's a good reason to recruit an NPC. Eventually, I find a lake that matches. That's a sign we're heading in the right direction. So I find a lake that's one of those landmarks Cadogan told us of. But biting things and stinging insects get into my food. I'll get into my pack and spoil some food. But I think we know that we're getting somewhat. We're still a little bit away. We're getting closer to Kabira. I don't think I want to make camp. This is mostly around health, spirit, momentum, which we're all kind of okay on. So let's say we rest overnight. We haven't seen anyone on this journey so far. Just like some wild animals and insects. And so we wake up in our little camp the following morning and set off, determined to find this Galderman, who I'm kind of picturing as like Saruman, but less well-groomed. Okay, and we do have a strong hit on the third day, so things are turning our way. So we reach a waypoint, and then we can either mark progress again, mark double progress, or okay, right. So I mark double progress in both instances. So let's see. On a strong hit, you reach a waypoint. If the waypoint is unknown to you, envision it, then choose one. You make good use of your resources, mark progress. Or you move at speed, mark progress and take +1 momentum, but suffer -1 supply. Okay, right. So it's only 1 progress, but I can choose to gain a momentum if I want. Since I've already lost some supply on this journey, I don't think I want to go for that option, so I'll just mark progress. But I think this is a good waypoint to arrive at because we've got a strong hit. It's not a match, so it's not like an amazing roll, but it is a strong hit. So what good thing have we arrived at? A cliff, possibly a trail. Ooh, I like a trail. So I'm thinking we kind of have circled around this lake now, and we find clear signs of a trail on the other side. We also left the insects behind. We've maybe even gone into the woods a little bit. So on the third day, I circle around the lake and find a clear trail with footprints leading to and from the water's edge. It leads into the woods again. And towards a mountain. I think Cadigan told us that Kabira lives in a mountain cave. So I think this is probably the path that Kabira takes to get to the lake. So I just have to follow this path, and we'll get there. So I could roll to reach my destination now, but it's not an amazing chance of success because we've only got 6 progress here. It would be nice to get another another hit on this, get this up to 9 or even 10 before we try to reach the destination. So I think we'll do that. So we'll camp out again, and on the 4th day, hopefully the day we find Kabira, we set off again, trying to follow this path as best we can. I think it's not super clear, not super visible, which is why we don't automatically succeed, but it gives us something to go on at least. Okay, so that's another week hit, which is another 3. We lose more supply. I mean, I'm going to roll to reach my destination, and then kind of based on how that goes, I'll work out how I lost that supply. So I follow this path on the 4th day. I follow the path to the mountain and kind of cautiously head up with my eyes peeled. And get a strong hit on reaching my destination. So I can make another move now, and add +1, or take +1 momentum. I think I'll take the momentum. So let's get the momentum, and we lose a supply. So on the 4th day, I follow the path to the mountain and begin my ascent. The path, I think, is... or the route, rather, is broken. I need to climb at various points. Maybe there's like a bit I have to climb, and I'm unable to recover my rope. Once I have done so, I have kind of have to leave it behind, and that's the loss of supply. So the route is broken. I need to climb at points at one particularly perilous part. I have to leave my rope behind. I'll be able to use it on the way back, but I cannot like reclaim the rope. So I'm picturing maybe we've got like a you know, like just a gap, a hole, a pit, maybe even with spikes at the bottom. And we've got like a big like rock on this side, and maybe like a rock on this side. Maybe there's even like a bridge here that has gone out, and we managed to like lasso like a rope around here, and we kind of set up like a little like rope bridge around these two poles, but we can't remove the rope really because it is you know, it's around these two things. Like you can like hold one end and try to like whip the other end up, but it's too hard to like remove it from the pole. So this rope will just be here forever. We can, you know, climb across the rope on our way back, but there's no recovering that rope, which is why our supply has gone down. So one particularly perilous part, let's just say at one gap where an old bridge was out, or an old bridge had collapsed. I guess an old bridge kind of fits in with the ruin theme we mentioned in our like legacies, where the Ironlands are old. People have lived in this inhospitable land since time immemorial. Old ruins can be found along the coast and in the mountains, where a resource once plentiful was exhausted long ago and the people moved away. So maybe this mountain, like there was an old mine here or some settlement or something. It was abandoned long ago. This Galdaman, this Kabira has moved in, but you know the infrastructure around it is all decaying and broken. But I make it to his home, and since we got a strong hit on reaching the destination, I think he is not aware of us. So maybe he is out when we get in. Eventually I find Kabira's home. Fortunately, he is out. So I'm able to go through his stuff sounds kind of rude. I'm able to prepare. Able to prepare for the confrontation. Do I have any anything here I could prepare? Possibly a lawkeeper. Maybe if I could try to like secure an advantage using my knowledge of spiritual warfare and so on. If I know something about his powers, I know he can like call up illusions across great distances. Maybe I can use my knowledge of demons or things saints have done or whatever to work out what other things he might be able to do, and so get an advantage that way. Be prepared rather than be caught unawares. Yeah, I want to know. I'm rolling on these oracle tables a lot, but I want to know what sort of area I've arrived at. 86 hill, yeah, or 68 a bay or fjord. So maybe where like up a mountain there's a river down one side, like probably even running into the lake, and it's got like a beautiful fjord. I think we are at like the ruins of an old settlement, like an old mine that was abandoned long ago, and Cuthbert has kind of moved into the mine itself. So let's say not Cuthbert's, Cuthbert's. Cuthbert's home is inside an old mine, long abandoned, atop a mountain, with atop a mountain by a river running into the lake. So it's probably like old crumbling buildings. We can look around and we like see the signs of people long gone, anything valuable long since picked over. But maybe there's shelter at least. Maybe there's like the dusty remnants of like a child's toy, like so old and delicate it crumbles away into dust when we touch it. Like a little doll thing. Just in case you didn't know what a doll looked like, this is what dolls look like. With long hair. So looking around this place, thinking about the people who once lived here, we see this thing like in the dirt, pick it up, and just falls apart in our hand. And the sun starts to get low in the sky, and we hear footsteps on the mountain path as Cuthbert approaches. And actually, I think Cuthbert sounds like... I suppose Cuthbert could be a man or a woman's name. I say Cuthbert is a I don't know. Let's just say 50-50. 1 to 3, Cuthbert is a man. Okay, Cuthbert is a woman. Local Galderman, Cuthbert, female. So we hear the footsteps of Cuthbert on the mountain, and I don't think we want to hide. I think we are here to boldly confront this heathen sorcerer with the power of God on our side. So we stand... let's say that this mountain path is kind of coming like from the east. So we stand... So like a mountain path kind of coming up here. We stand here with like the setting sun behind us. So Cuthbert kind of comes up and like squints a little in the sun and sees us there. And like, so it's come to this. I don't really know why Cuthbert is hostile to us, but let's go with I'm thinking like religious hostility doesn't seem exactly the right phrase, but we represent like another power, like an outside power coming in. Not power as in a political power, like outside power as in like a magical power, and Kabira doesn't like that. I think Kabira probably has like fended off rival Galdaman before and kind of sees us as, you know, something like that. You know, we're a sorcerer trying to move in on Kabira's turf, and sees us as another similar challenge to overcome. An idea has just struck that it could be kind of fun to recruit Kabira as an ally. We need to like somehow convert them first. But having an ally who is kind of known and respected locally would be handy. Also, I said maybe I could consult my knowledge of stuff and get an advantage that way. And I never actually rolled for that, so let's do that. Like retrospectively, while I was waiting for Kabira, I sat on like a rock and took out my Bible from my pack, like well thumbed. Yes, this is before the printing press, so it's kind of a luxury to bring my own Bible with me, I suppose. This expensive tome that I thumb through and think, what powers could this heathen sorcerer have? How can I deal with it? How can I prepare myself for it? And I think I have a few hours to study the archive, so I get the +2 on that. So I am securing an advantage, I think, because this is an advantage relevant to dealing with Kabira, and I think it is with expertise, insight, or observation. So I have got a 9. I've actually got an 11 because I have this +2. So that's all fine. So I get +1 momentum. And let's say that I kind of have an idea. I recall or read about some Bible story about a heathen sorcerer. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. The only sorcerer I can think of in the Bible is the Witch of Endor, but she's kind of a good person, kind of. But there's some relevant story that I read, and I think like, okay, maybe he could have these sorts of powers, and here is how David or whoever dealt with the situation. I just need to be like David or Solomon or whatever, some biblical person, and that's how I can overcome this. Needs to be firm in my faith and whatnot, and like steel myself to prepare for trials X, Y, and Z. Right, and so I got a strong hit, means okay, I guess I take 2 momentum actually. On a hit, take 2. Let's see. On a hit, take +1 momentum. On a strong hit to secure an advantage, you can get +2 momentum. So I guess I get +3 momentum in total. I guess they stack. Okay, I'm feeling very prepared then. Also, I think if I do like best Kabira and get Kabira to admit that my god is better than her god, I guess I would count that as a milestone towards establishing a church, because I will have like demonstrated the superiority of my faith over the like incumbent one by besting this like respected like local notable. Okay, so Kabira's home. I spend time reading my Bible and preparing for the conflict to come. Eventually, I hear Kabira's tread upon the mountain. I really want to write as Kabir's, but that's not the name. Eventually, I hear Kabira's tread upon the mountain and walk to meet her. I think it's kind of fun if I don't know that Kabira is a woman. So I think I'm going to meet this like wizened old man, and then I see a kind of middle-aged woman. I'm momentarily surprised by this. Eventually, I hear Kabira's tread upon the mountain and walk to meet him. To my surprise, a woman appears, wearing the robe of a Galdman. Let's say they have a kind of a standard robe with let's see, believe Galda. What am I thinking of? Yeah, so I'm thinking of. So in Iceland, which is not quite fantasy Scandinavia, but whatever, I can combine these things. They had these cool things called Galda staffs. So, these are kind of like sigils you would draw to gain some effects, but I quite like the idea of an actual staff, maybe with like a weird like design engraved upon it. So maybe they don't have like a standard robe, but they have like a kind of distinguishable staff. A woman appears holding the staff. To my surprise, a woman appears holding the staff of a Galdaman with a determined look on her face. Is she surprised that I'm here? I think if she is surprised that I'm here, she doesn't show it. So, to my surprise, a woman appears holding the staff of a Galdaman with a determined look upon her face, and she. Just wondering what would be the way to like resolve this situation. So there is a battle move, but I want to do this kind of non-violently if possible. Let's just have a look. Can battle be used for like other things? But perhaps. Okay, so you can roll like any stat with battle, so I can kind of like flavor it however I want. It could be a spiritual battle rather than like actually stabbing people. So let's try to envision this situation. So she comes up. I think it's probably like a tense like face off for a moment, and I probably try to like argue, like quoting scripture and stuff, like arguing that her beliefs are misplaced. She is doing the bidding of the Prince of Lies, and so on and so forth. And is only through the true faith that one can achieve eternal salvation. You can tell that I'm not actually a believer and don't know how these arguments go. So yeah, I guess it probably starts as a bit of a debate, but then she will try to use some magic upon me. Draw circle move. That's the duel move, isn't it? Yeah. Let's see, where is that? Draw the circle. Yeah, formal duel. When you challenge someone to a formal duel or accept a challenge, roll plus heart. Heart is the good one in this context, I think. If you share a bond, I'm not a community I share a bond with, so that's fine. On a strong hit, take +1 momentum, because I choose 2 boasts and take +1 momentum for each. On a weak hit, you may choose 1 boast in exchange for +1 momentum. Okay. On a miss, you begin the duel at a disadvantage. Your foe has initiative. Yeah, so I guess the battle would be kind of resolve this whole thing in a single move, but draw the circle would be we can then play it out step by step, which I think is appropriate here. Yeah, because I don't just want to like beat her. I want to show, yes, there's many solutions possible. I want to like demonstrate that her power is meaningless in the face of true faith. That's the true victory here, I think. Like physically, like beating her and like snapping her staff in half is not the way to win. It doesn't demonstrate the superiority of God. So yes, let's go with draw the circle. So we kind of begin with like arguing a little bit, and then she like starts incanting something, and I'm like, fine, go ahead. It's not going to do anything to me. Okay, hearts. I have a +2 in heart, which makes this a weak hit. I guess that's fine. So +1. I mean, I could make this into a strong hit by burning my momentum, but I think I want to keep that to dramatically win the bout. Okay, so we choose one boast in exchange for +1 momentum. I can grant the first strike. I can bear myself taking no benefit of armor or shield. I don't have an armor or shield, so I can't really do that. Take no benefit of weapons. I can bloody myself, make it a fight to the death. I think granting her the first strike is an appropriate boast here, because I'm kind of being like, your power is of no benefit, is of no use against like my rock solid faith. Like I know that God will protect me, and so do your worst. It won't achieve anything, and she really can do her worst because I have a +10 momentum, so I can just win the next move most likely. Okay, right. So battle moves. Let's see. So she has initiative. I think I also have a handy cheat sheet for battle somewhere. Let me find that. Let's put it down here. Yeah, okay. Yes, okay. So she has the initiative. So the situation is she is probably starting with attempting some sort of magic, I suppose. So I kind of just like stand, like open my arms, kind of like bearing myself, and say, like, okay, do your worst. Your power will break upon me like a wave upon the rocks. And she's going to open by like incanting a kind of weird, like keening wail thing, attempting to melt my brain or whatever. So we're definitely not fighting in close quarters. Suppose it is, let's see, it's probably more face danger. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I could, turn the tide, just like immediately like seize the initiative and do something. But I don't think I want to open with that. I think I am facing danger here. So I am reacting to an imminent threat, I suppose, with courage, I think, if I'm just like standing here, withstanding something. That sounds like courage to me. So that's a 7, and I can't just turn this into a strong hit with my momentum because I have 10 momentum. And hang on, I can cancel out. I keep forgetting how momentum works. Let's see, momentum. Less than the momentum value. So yeah, I can't get rid of this 10. So at best, I have a weak hit. Well, I have a weak hit. You are delayed, lose advantage, or face a new danger, suffer -1 momentum. You're tired or hurt, endure harm. You're dispirited or afraid, endure stress. You sacrifice resources, suffer -1 supply. But this is still a success. I think probably stress. So let's go look at the endure stress move. And it'll be so nice if this was hyperlinked. See, stress. Endure stress. Here we go. When you face mental shock or despair, suffer -spirit equals your foe's rank. Yes, that's a -1. So I'm going to lose a point of spirit, and then roll plus spirit or plus heart, whichever is better. My spirit is better. I have a +4 spirit. And that's a miss. Ooh. I think I am going to spend the momentum here to cancel out these 2 dice. So my momentum would reset down to 2. It becomes a strong hit, so I can either gain 1 momentum, move back up to 3, or I could suffer -1 momentum, dropping down to 1, but gain +1 spirit. I think that one feels more in keeping with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to demonstrate that her power is worthless here, and so I'll just completely shrug off this strike, and I now have the initiative because I got a hit. So again, I don't want to just like punch her or something. Probably compel, maybe. Yeah, compel might be it. Hang on, no, you have initiative if your last move scored. Yes, I scored a strong hit. Okay, cool. And let me just check the battle rules, because I do need to mark progress on this. I never actually determined like how troublesome she is. I think she's probably a troublesome foe. Defeat Kabira in spiritual warfare. She is troublesome. And yes, I need to inflict harm to get progress. Okay, cool. Right, makes sense. It's been a while since I've done this. Right, inflicting harm. I guess compel would count as inflicting harm in this case. Like a strong hit would be inflicting 1 harm, I suppose. Since this is more of like a battle of like persuading her that her power is fruitless, rather than a battle of like actually physically punching someone. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a strike, but with heart, which is what compel is. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, so Kavira is like chanting some Galda at me, and it's I just like shrug off its effect, and I whip out my Bible. Maybe not. Maybe not whip out the Bible. It's an expensive book. I didn't think when I decided like I arrived at the Bible how like rare and expensive books were back then. It's probably not something you whip out in the middle of a fight. But I start like drowning out her chanting by reciting. Um, I mentally prepared myself by looking up things beforehand, like thinking about the stories of saints and stuff. I begin like loudly, like telling this story that I looked up before, like Saint so and so was confronted by the witch of whatever. He stood firm in his faith, and so on and so forth. So I like loudly telling this story, standing firm in the face of this power, and do terribly, absolutely terribly. She is unconvinced, completely unconvinced. So I must pay the price. Yes, I said the wrong saint. She's like, I know more about your religion than you do. Honestly, probably spirit harm. Again, that seems to be the theme here. Um, let's just have a look and see if there's any better inspiration for paying the price. But I'm thinking maybe spirit harm is the appropriate thing. The current situation worsens. Okay. So a narrative consequence rather than a mechanical one, but she does seize the initiative. Current situation worsens. Worsens. I want a theme. Maybe even an action. How does it worsen? Let's gather, follow, debt, spirit. I mean, spirit seems kind of fitting with what she's going for. Okay, I think what happens is I, we kind of have this like argument. I think she's probably not very receptive to the argument, so it's probably more I try to argue against her, and she's like, enough. I like stand, like, kind of like bearing myself to her, and I'm like, fine, do your worst. It won't avail you. And she begins incanting a Galda. I begin telling the story of some saint or martyr who has faced a challenge like this before. But I feel like my sense of surety like wavering. I feel afraid by like afraid of this power she's calling up, and like a little voice begins whispering in my ear about doubt and how I'm not ready for this challenge. I was a fool to come here, that sort of thing. And so I'll write a summary of the fight afterwards. But she has called upon some sort of like spirit of doubt, which is like twisting my belief against me, making me think I shouldn't have come. Someone more famous, someone who was kind of converted heathens before should have come. I was not the right person for this. So it is her turn, and I'm thinking she might actually just pull out a dagger. I'm trying to solve this non-violently doesn't mean she is. So I could try to compel her. I could, try picking up this argument again. But I don't think she's in like a listening mood if she has seized the initiative. So probably I need to. Clashing would be kind of admitting defeat in a sense. So I think I want to turn. I think this is a good situation to turn the tide, actually. So I will be like, enough, foul spirits. Your words will not make me forsake my purpose. So I seize the initiative. I now need to make a move, and it's bad if I do not make this move. So it's time to compel. I think I'm trying to argue that her power is not having like the desired effects. Like she can see that I'm still standing and undaunted by this, so she should give up. I get a +1 on this because I have turned the tide, and it would be really nice if I had a load of momentum here, but I don't have a load of momentum here because I spent it all. So I'm trying to convince, which is a roll with heart. And I got a 7, which is a strong hit. Okay, they'll do what you want or share what they know. Take +1 momentum. I actually got an 8 because I have a +1 for turning the tide. Let's see, turn the tide. Add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. Okay, so I'm actually getting 2 momentum here. And I was kind of compelling her to give up. So I guess it has worked. So let's just kind of summarize this whole fight and work out what happened here, because we resolved it in some dice rolls and it's a little bit disjointed. But overall, I arrived at like the top of this mountain or halfway up this mountain, wherever we are, to find Kabira absent. I spent some time like looking around, seeing the signs of past habitation, sitting on a rock, reading my Bible, mentally preparing for the trials that are to come. And after some hours, I heard footsteps heading up the mountain, and I went forth to meet Kabira. There, I urged her to give up her sinful ways, to cease her campaign against me, and to stop trucking with demons and whatnot, and join the true faith. She spurned me, and I said, fine, do your worst. It won't avail you. So she began incanting a Galda. I began telling a story of something that happened to some other saint similarly in the past. This kind of went on for a little bit, kind of voices being raised on each side. At one point I was assailed with a malevolent spirit whispering in my ears that I'm not ready, I'm not good enough for this, someone else should have come, I'm doomed to fail here. But I shake it off, and like the conviction of my belief is so strong that eventually she acknowledges herself as defeated. She's unable to affect me with her power, and kind of lowers her staff. I just feel like a little bit like corny, maybe, but maybe this is like an hours-long conflict, and we're now like well into the night, and like she is tired from like having to exert power for so long, and I'm still like fresh and like undaunted, as I have been sustained by faith and whatnot. And so she's like really leaning on her staff and like breathing heavily, and I'm just as fresh as we'd never done this. Okay, so So hours of conflict pass. Let's see. So I guess to start with, Kabira rejects me. Hours of conflict pass. Her incanting foul Galders. Is incanting not a word? Add that to the dictionary. Hours of conflict pass her incanting foul Galders. I reciting the stories of the saints and martyrs. She calls forth a malevolent spirit. To whisper doubts into my ears. But I rebuke it. Eventually exhausted, she let's see, drops her staff. Wearied. As I already said, she's exhausted. Eventually exhausted, she drops her staff, but I am undaunted. Sustained by faith. Victorious. She accepts defeat. Does she immediately pledge herself to join the true faith? I don't know. I was just compelling her to like give up, to accept that she was weaker than me. But it would be cool to like recruit her. That might be recruiting. Ooh, hang on. I said I was going to hold these 3 bonds in reserve and maybe just have like some automatic successes. So maybe, you know, like religious stories are full of like someone suddenly repenting and like becoming a fervent believer. Maybe that does happen here. Maybe I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I'll take her as a bond. As a traveling companion. She accepts defeats and pledges herself to the true faith in the sight of its power. It's awesome power. Okay, right. We have our first background bond person. Yes, she can be very useful, especially if the people respect her. You know, having a respected person who's like this Cuthbert, but he knows what he's about. That will be very helpful. So Kabira, the ex-Galderman. Now converted to the faith. Location. Okay, it'd be quite nice if she was traveling with me. Yeah, with me. So she's not going to be a companion asset because I do not have one of those yet. I don't have the experience points to buy a new asset, but so she'll kind of provide like narrative benefits in that she'll be with me, and like her presence will be useful in helping convince people of things, but I won't get like a numerical bonus to rolls or whatever. But when I do get experience from completing vows and so on, maybe I will upgrade her to an asset. Okay, let's see. So she knows the area and is known and is respected. Okay, and I'm going to count this as a milestone towards my establishing a church because I have bested a representative of kind of the like the old faith here and shown the awesome power of God, which will help with kind of convincing like the authorities and whatnot to allow me to do this. Okay, I guess we end up not using this tracker at all. So I'll just clear that out. And yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll pick up the next day, or I suppose we could just pick up back in the settlement, returning with Kabira. But before that, I'm going to go and top up my drink. I am going to hydrate myself because my cup runneth dry. I'll be back in a few moments. Okay, I'm back. Let's work out what happens next. Although I'm kind of curious about the companion assets. I can't remember what those generally look like. Let's have a look. Assets sheet here. Let's shrink this a little bit. I do like like showing PDFs on screen, but it is kind of a pain if they're different sizes and different aspect ratios and stuff. Yeah, let's see. Kabira is probably not a cave lion, giant spider, hawk, horse, hound. Okay, I guess kindred is just the human companion. Your friend stand by you. When you make a move outside of combat aided by a companion's expertise, add a +1. Okay, and I guess the expertise would be like knowledge of, like expertise in like the Ironlander, like religion or that sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Right, so we return to town. Not town. Town is a very grand word for this little village. Right, so how long did this take? So on the 4th day, it was the night of the 4th day that we had this conflict, and I guess late afternoon of the 4th day when this conflict began, and it ran into the night and ended with like Kabira like kneeling before me and being baptized into the true faith. And so like the 5th day is the day we head back. And if I had thought in advance, I would have made this a 3-day thing to kind of fit in with the whole Jesus dying and then being resurrected on the 3rd day thing. Everyone loves parallels like that, but oh well. So on the 5th day, we head back to the village, and I'm sure with someone who actually knows the way, it probably is only a journey of 1 day. So on the 5th day, we return to whatever the village was called. Red Falls. On the 5th day, we return to Red Falls. The people are... Not to say the people, let's say Cadigan. Cadigan and the people are surprised to see us together. But even more surprised when they hear of Kabira's conversion. And so already like stories of my actions begin to travel ahead of me. And stories of my actions is useful for establishing a church. Now, I said I think we need to, maybe travel to a larger center of population because we're in like a tiny little village at the moment. So maybe we need to undergo a journey to head to like some sort of town, perhaps. Though we did just do another journey earlier this session, so maybe something else. Let's see. What could we do that gets us towards establishing a church? Let's have a look at the list of Scandinavian saints. What did these people do? It'd be kind of nice if it said what they did rather than just being a list of names. But let's just look at these top few and see if any of their actions spark inspiration. If not, we always have the action and theme tables, which can help. Right, yes, this is the one I mentioned previously. So we have Saint Halvard of Oslo. He defended an innocent woman and was killed in doing so. I'd rather not be killed in doing something. You know, being martyred is a fine way to end a story, but not like a good second thing to do. Let's see, what about David of Monktorp? What did he do? Oh, he's Anglo-Saxon. Cuthbert could be Anglo-Saxon. You know, the name kind of, fits. He was so holy he could hang his gloves on the sun rays. That's cool. Came to evangelize Sweden. He wandered among villages and towns, preaching the word of God and baptizing the converted, keeping nightly prayer vigils, committed to God with tears and sighs his plentiful offspring. Okay. Yeah, I mean, traveling, preaching kind of fits. That is still, undertaking a journey, but it's a bit better maybe than just traveling to get to a large town. It could be a journey where each waypoint we stop at is like a small village, and there we try to convert a few people. We have Henry of Finland. He entered Finland during the First Swedish Crusade and died as a martyr. Again, I don't really want to be martyred. What a way to begin a description. Eric had a brother whose name began with a J. Okay, let's say that we. I'll just have a quick look at the theme table or the action and theme tables to get see if any further inspiration strikes. But if not, traveling to like a town via lots of small villages, and in each village trying to convince a few people seems like a fitting next step. Okay. Yeah, saints do tend to be martyred. That tends to be how they become saints. Aid, that kind of fits. Aid, peace. Aid, peace. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, let's spend. They are unfortunately very good at being martyred. It's an occupational hazard of being a saint, really. Getting martyred. I bet it must be very hard to get a life insurance policy if you're a living saint, because they just know you're not going to last that long. Okay, let's try traveling to a larger settlement, like a small town, and we're going to stop at villages along the way, and in each village we're going to tell stories using our story weaver thing to try to compel some people to become converted, to believe in the true faith. And if we can convert like some people on this journey, then that might count as another milestone. So we shall undertake a journey, and we've got a local with us now, Kabira, who knows the area, but we are not going to get a mechanical benefit for that because be more like a salesman, a door-to-door God salesman. Isn't that just Jehovah's Witnesses? Let's go village to village, knocking on people's doors. Excuse me, have you heard the good word? Right, so we do have Kabira with us who knows the area, but we're not going to get a mechanical benefit from Kabira because we don't have Kabira as an asset yet, so we're just going to get kind of the narrative benefit of having a local with us. So that will affect like consequences we have and that sort of thing, rather than giving us a direct bonus on rolls. So let us... we've got to pick how difficult our journey is. How long do I want this journey to be? I feel like it can't be too far to get to a town. Let's go for another troublesome journey. And let's get a name for this town that we're heading to. So here's our settlement name generator. We've got Morn. Mornmark? I don't really like that. I feel like Haven is a good suffix for like a little town. Mornhaven. That sounds very grim, but that's where we're going. And along the way, as we stop at these little villages, we can roll on the settlement trouble table, and maybe we'll have like some adventures along the way. Yeah. Okay, let's set off. Let's gotta get our morning prayers in first. We're gonna pray for guidance. We're going to secure an advantage by asking asking God to watch over us on this journey and so on. And along the way, we'll be teaching Kabira how to properly pray and whatnot. So we're rolling plus hearts. That is a strong hit. To secure an advantage. I think take control, make another move now, and add +1. I quite like that. I'm going to undertake a journey, and I'll get a +1 on this. So it is a troublesome journey. We're rolling plus wits, which is a 3. We have a +1 because we have guidance from God. So we're rolling with a +4. And get a strong hit. Okay, so we reach a town. Not a town, a village. We reach a village, and let's just mark progress. Let's see. Let's there is a max size to these text boxes. I can't remember how big it is, so let's just start a new one. We can have maybe a new text box for each little arc thing we're doing. So our first arc was kind of meeting Kabira, and now we've got heading to Mornhaven. So Kabira and I prayed for guidance and set off for Mornhaven, the largest town in this area. I plan to stop in villages along the way and try to convert a few every night. So our first stop, get a new village name. Get a village name and a settlement trouble. We're stopping in, let's call it 3439. What do we got here? Woodfalls. And what is the problem in Woodfalls? It is 49. Provisions are scarce. So on the first night, we arrive at this little village. We are, I guess, welcomed in. We get hospitality because we have Kabira with us. But the Jarl there, he tells us that he's sorry, but they can't spare much. They've had, let's say, like a poor harvest or something, and so they're struggling to get by. So the Jarl welcomes us, but can't spare much. A poor harvest. Yeah. I bet helping with this poor harvest would make them more likely to believe in the true faith. How could we help with the poor harvest? If only I were Jesus and could take a few loaves of bread and duplicate them, but I think that would be blasphemous. Because we have to find some alternate source of food for these people. And without Kabira doing it with horrible demonic Galda magic, we have to do something else. Maybe not a poor harvest. Maybe like a problem that's actually solvable. Because if it's a poor harvest, all we can really do is like either find an alternate source of food or like say God magically makes the crops grow. What if it's like they get a lot of food from fishing and the river is like there aren't many fish? So food is scarce because the river doesn't have many fish, and maybe this is a problem we can solve. Maybe we could like travel upriver and find what is affecting this, or downriver, whatever sort of fish that they are. Just looking at the various moves to see what might be a way to resolve the situation. Fetch provisions from elsewhere. Yeah, we could say like we're traveling to Mornhaven. We will pick up some stuff for you. That might be the thing to do. I feel there isn't much food. It's kind of hard to resolve by myself, unless I want this to be like a fairly high magic game where I'm like reading a Bible verse and causing food to materialize. Yeah. Let's just promise to bring supplies back from Mornhaven. Actually, I'm not really planning to head back from Mornhaven. I'm planning to go to Mornhaven to set up a church there. So I'm going to bring supplies. And if maybe we can just do that. Yeah, we'll bring supplies from Mornhaven. Maybe like send supplies. We don't have money though. So from God, yes. Okay, we promised to send supplies from Mornhaven. That might be it. Once we have more followers, we can send followers to help. I think stealing is okay if you say it's for God before you take something. Yeah, we will send supplies from Mornhaven. We'll figure out how to resolve that when we get there. So let's have a to-do list. Send provisions to Woodfalls. Which is experiencing a famine. Okay, I don't think we can really solve this problem while on this first stopover. So maybe we can try to convert some people. Let's have a quick look at compel. I'm inclined to say that I can't convert people here because I'm not able to do something to help. So I will preach this evening. Like, some people will listen, but I don't think anyone is like, baptize me right now. Be like, you think you guys got it tough? Well, let me tell you a story about the Son of God who spent 40 days and nights in the desert with no food. Yes, I spend the evening preaching to those who will listen, but most of the villagers were uninterested. Maybe they'll listen more if I bring them food. All right, maybe it's time to make camp, because we've not actually done that despite traveling multiple days. I'm also running a bit low on supply. It would have been sensible to resupply before setting off on this journey, but I did not do that. Let's see, this is when you rest and recover for several hours in the wild. I suppose we are kind of, we're camping. I guess it kind of counts. Sure, let's go for making camp. We roll plus supply. I kind of want to roll making camp because we've travelled and purely camped, but not actually mechanically made camp. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, it's a weak hit. It's not awful. So I could focus. I could take plus momentum. That seems appropriate here. Or I could prepare. Yeah, either focus or prepare makes sense. I think probably prepare. So so we arrive in Woodfalls, and it is a village not in a great condition. People are looking like hungry. They're looking thin. The Jarl welcomes us. Probably recognizes Kabira because we're still very close. And welcome to Woodfalls, travelers. Welcome to enjoy the hospitality. Welcome to enjoy our hospitality, but I'm afraid we don't have much to offer you. The river has been scarce these past months. Food. We do not have much food to spare. Cuthbert says in his heavily accented Ironlandish that we're heading to Mornhaven, and it would be my pleasure to send provisions back to Woodfalls as charity. Once we do, and the Jarl thanks us, thanks me for this act of charity. Though I'm sure he's not like fully convinced I'm going to do it yet, because I'm a stranger who said I'm going to, just help you for nothing. And then I spend the evening preaching, like in the center of the village, holding my big Bible and reading stories and such like. But I think because we're not actually helping these people, no one is actually converted. Some people may be listening a bit, but that's it. And then after a few hours of that, I and Kabira talk about the road ahead and the next village that we plan to stop at, and that we'll hopefully have better luck there. So we set off the following morning and undertake a journey and get a +1 to the roll because we prepared. Let's see, undertake a journey, we're rolling plus wits, so we've got a 9. Okay, so it is a weak hit. You reach your waypoint and mark progress, but suffer -1 supply. Okay, now supply is getting a little bit thin. I think rather than like losing supply on the journey, what I'll say is I like as we're preparing to leave in the morning, I see like 2 children coming back from like foraging. They've been out like really early in the morning just to try to find anything, coming back with like a few pitiful scraps, and my heart is moved by pity and charity, and I just like give them some of our travel food. In the morning, while preparing to set out, we see 2 children returning from foraging. They have pitiful fare. And my heart is moved. I take some of our dwindling travel rations, travel provisions rather, and give it to them. Soon enough, we will need to find food. Okay, so we got a weak hit on the journey, so we do reach a waypoint. So we need a name and a trouble. Long. Longholm. Or possibly Longwick. Let's go with Longwick. What is the trouble at Longwick? In league with the enemy, or in the crossfire? I mean, we don't really have an enemy as such right now, so that would be the enemy, Satan himself. Seems a bit grandiose for a small village. In the crossfire, what could that be? There's some conflicts going on, which this village is caught in. In the crossfire. I kind of want a little bit more inspiration for that. $57 blood. Time to fight Satan, yeah. Or mysticism. In the crossfire, mysticism. What did I put for mysticism? So we have Galderman. I think another Galderman to vanquish. That's a bit too repetitive. Hmm. Hmm. In the crossfire. I'm kind of lost as to what In the Crossfire could be, so let's do something else. I think it could be fun to have some sort of trouble that could be resolved by delving into an adventure site using Ironsworn Delve. A 16 could be a mysterious phenomenon, or a 61 could be an urgent expedition. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Urgent expedition. Alright, I've not actually opened the PDF for Ironsworn Delve. Let's get that. Hey London, welcome. Okay, Ironsworn Delve. Okay, so this is the different aspect ratio. I want this. Otherwise I'll be chopping off the bottom of the pages. There we go. Okay. Right, so we have an urgent expedition. Something is going on, some trouble, which can be resolved by journeying to some sort of adventure sites. Maybe it's like missing children could be a potential, right? Like some children went out into the woods and haven't returned, and there's some dangerous place known about nearby that could be where they are. Though if we fail in this, then the natural outcome is dead children, which isn't great. I could maybe soften the blow a bit. We could leave it kind of fuzzy. Like something or someone has gone missing, and there's some sort of like nearby location, like an abandoned mine or settlement or cave system or something that we think is where this has happened. And if we can overcome this, then perhaps that could also, if it's in a suitably dramatic fashion, that could also be a milestone towards establishing a church, because we're showing off the power of the true faith and whatnot. Okay, so I've not looked at Delve in years, so let's have a look and work out how we set this up. And I want, let's see, preparing to delve. Okay. Ooh, page 4 is hyperlinks. I like that. Yes. Yes, everything that references a page should be hyperlinked. The chapter headings, sadly, are not hyperlinks, but the page numbers are. Okay, right, so we have new moves. Yep. Okay, when you resolve to enter a perilous site in pursuit of an objective, which I think we are. It's probably troublesome, because this is just like a little side thing we're doing as part of our main journey, which itself is only a troublesome journey, so it wouldn't really make sense to have something bigger than troublesome along the way. Okay, themes and domains. Right, so what have we got here? Okay, I feel ancient is probably appropriate. Kind of fits with the like ancient ruins theme we've got going on. Something built by Ironlanders long, long ago, but no longer inhabited. So we have something ancient, and a domain. Okay, we have 12 of these, so I could roll a d12 if I can find my. Foolishly, I only have my d10s and d6s over here. Where's my d12s? Here's a d12. Perfect. 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Sea cave. Okay, maybe this is a coastal village that we've arrived at, Longwick. Things do tend to be built on like coasts and rivers, so it makes sense for it to be a coastal village. So the coastal village of Longwick, and there's an ancient sea cave that contains something which has recently gone missing, and this is like an urgent problem. Okay, there's like a worksheet we can copy in. Let's get that. Okay, site worksheet. Copy that over here. We need a cool name. Longwick Sea Cave. There we go. Objective is to recover the lost thing. Not really sure what it is yet. I'm just going to go with my first impulse. There's lost children who we believe to be in here. Theme is ancient and the domain is sea cave. We have cards for these, so let's find that and copy these in. So we have ancient. And sea cave. Maybe maybe the children got trapped in the sea cave by like the change of the tides or something. That could be why this is like an imminent thing which has happened. The children were out playing and the tide rose and they kind of had to retreat into this cave. And maybe the tide has subsided now, but they've not come out of the cave, and it's known there are ancient ruins in there. So it's all a bad situation. We've kind of arrived like shortly after the tide has gone back down, and people have realized, oh, the kids haven't just come out by themselves. Okay, how do we go on with setting this up? Let's just note down the little bit of story here. So the cave with ancient ruins, let's say this is like separated from the mainland, or it's maybe we've got like the the village is like here, little houses like here, and there's like cliffs kind of rising up like to either side, and we've got like this cave kind of in here, and there is a path, but you can only cross it at low tide. So we have a cave with ancient ruins. Only accessible at low tide. Kids went in. Trapped by the tide. Tide has now subsided, like 12 hours later. Tides are 12 hours, I think. I'm pretty sure that's how they work. It's something like that. The tide has now subsided 12 hours later, and kids have not returned. We arrived like basically at this time in a growing panic. All right, so let's say this is troublesome. And before you wade into the depths, consider who might dwell in this place and what foes you may face. These are the denizens. Okay. I think we probably don't know anything about this place, really. Okay, I think we figure out the denizens as we go, since we don't know anything about this place in advance. Yeah, we can introduce new denizens as we go. Okay. Yeah, so here we have a little example where some things have been filled in, but most have been left blank. And it says some of these might get filled in as you explore. All right, so the scene. We arrive in the village of Longwick in this like mounting panic, and there's like people are kind of debating what to do. Like some are in favor of just like charging in straight away. Others are like maybe we should like wait a bit longer. The villages are divided, but we step up. We're like, we will go and find the children and return them to the village, just as, and then I will relate an appropriate Bible story, just as Saint so and so went and did such and such and brought them out of evil. I will be that person. And we kind of like go and like shimmy across these damp rocks and stand before this cave, which I think the entrance of the cave looks very natural, but we're told there's ancient ruins and stuff inside. Right, we have a moves reference. Let's get that open. And it does not have a table of contents, so I need to awkwardly scale this to fit. Oh, this is a pain. I'll just it'll just look bad on stream. Okay, right. So how does the whole process work? Yep, we got it all set up, I believe. Okay, when you're ready to enter the site, make the Delve the Depth move. When you traverse an area within a perilous site, envision your surroundings. Yeah, I think it's as I just said. So it's like all like natural looking at the entrance, like any signs of like construction or habitation long since worn away, long since gone. So it just looks like any other cave. I don't think there's any signs of like people passing through here because it's all rock and wet, so tracks don't really stick. Envision your surroundings. Yep. Then consider your approach. If you navigate this area with haste, with stealth or tricking, with observation, intuition, or expertise. Is there anything we can do to get help here? Probably not. Our daily prayers. That's a morning thing. We've already been traveling today. I don't think we can really wait until the following morning. This is an urgent situation. So I think we are going carefully because we don't want to get lost in here. as well. So I think Kabira, because Kabira is presumably smart, like pocket some seashells or something, and there's like we can use these to mark the way back whenever we reach the intersection, so we too won't get lost. And like, smart move, Kabira. And let us now delve the depths. So we're rolling plus wits because we're going carefully. Okay, I have a 7 total. That is a miss. We can't save this with momentum because our momentum is too low. So on a miss, reveal a danger. Okay. Is that a move? It is. Okay, it's right. So we now roll this. A 44. Check the domain card. The domain card is the sea cave. For a 44, we have an eroded. No, we're looking for a danger. A claustrophobic squeeze. Okay. Okay, so we envision the danger. Okay, so it's a setup for a new complication, a claustrophobic squeeze. So we're not attacked or anything because other things mention like traps or denizens or anything. So we've just arrived at a very narrow bit of cave. So we maybe like look around, like try a few different routes, and we can't find where the kids have gone. And we can exhaust our options and then end up at this really narrow passage which we barely fit through. So it's passable, but we can't really get through it quickly. We have to like drop down, so like our bellies and squeeze through. We definitely can't flee through here. So it's kind of a choke point. So if we encounter a danger beyond, then it's going to be worse. So I think we should draw a map. There's something about drawing maps in here, I believe. Let's have a look for that. Mapping a site. Here we go. Okay, let's move the notes down here, and we'll use this space up here for a map. So we've got like a sea cave, accessible only at low tide. Let's make this look like we're actually writing it on a map. Yeah, sea cave, low tide only. And this leads to something else, but via a tight squeeze. Which is slow. Can't rush through here. And yeah. So let's go for this kind of like abstract point crawly style map. Okay, so I think that's a suitable danger revealed. We've got a choke point that will hinder our retreat. So I guess after that we delve the depths again. So we're still going carefully. Okay, that's a weak hit. So roll on the following table. Okay. So we're looking at wits. We got a 35. I should pick a actual D100 to make this fair. So let's 58. Mark progress. Okay. So it's a troublesome place, so that means we check off 3 boxes. And we need to work out where we arrive. So is there a handy table for that? It's this... Yeah, we've got features. Okay. Let's roll for a feature, then. This is a D100 on here. And for this, I will just use the 2 D10s, because each reading of the dice is appropriate. So it could have a 24, which should be watery tunnels, or a 42, which would also be watery tunnels. Okay, so maybe this like tight squeeze, we kind of hoped it would, open up into another cave beyond, but it actually just kind of continues, like crawling along these tunnels that are quite low down, and there's like little like pools of water in them. So this place is definitely below sea level, at least when the tide is high. So this whole like sequence of like narrow, tight tunnels that we're crawling through would be impassable at high tide. So this place is actually quite hard to travel. And it maybe makes sense why the kids haven't returned if they had to go pretty deep into this place to get away from the rising water. But let's see. So we didn't. Do we find an objective? Find an opportunity? When do we do this? Okay, so if we get a strong hit on Delve the Depths, we roll to find an opportunity. If we have a miss, we roll to reveal a danger. If we want a specific item, we can check our gear. And then locate your objective. It's a progress move, so a roll against this rather than rolling the d6. And then we can flee as well. We don't want to flee though, because that would mean abandoning the children to a watery grave. So I guess we just continue with delving the depths, and this will introduce complications as we go. Hopefully. That's a poor roll. That's another weak hit. A 98, which is mark progress and find an opportunity. Okay. Maybe the opportunity we find is like we come to a crossroads, like a junction, and find a clear indication of where to go. But let's roll for a feature to envision where we are. Visions of this place in another time, or something unusual or unexpected. Okay, let's see what opportunity we've got. Those are both pretty vague. All right, when you encounter a helpful situation or feature within a site, roll on the following table. If you're making this move as a result of a strong hit on Delve the Depths, you may pick or envision an opportunity instead of rolling. I like the idea of rolling. Dice are fun. Then choose one. Take +1 momentum, or make a move and get a bonus. Okay, let's roll for a thing. We have a 91. You are alerted to a potential threat. Okay. So something unusual, unexpected is the feature, and what has happened here is we are alerted to a potential threat. Since there are ancient ruins supposedly in this cave, maybe we have like arrived at the outskirts of the ruins. So after traveling through what feels like miles of caves, although probably not that far actually, it just feels like that because it's all narrow and hard to pass. We come upon a sign of ancient construction, like some sort of old underground construction. I kind of want a I want like a thing. Yeah, let's have a look at this stuff. What do we got here? 49 collapsed. Okay. Or lair. Lair kind of fits with a threat. We've not encountered any like actual threats yet, though. So yeah, I like my first intuition of we come to. I'm picturing like we're moving through this what seems like a sequence of natural caves, and then we just see like an obviously constructed thing just like looming up like a carved stone pillar, and we're like, oh, we've found the ancient ruins. Not necessarily even the entrance, it's just the first sign. Maybe we've even been in these ruins for a while. And then for the sign of a threat, thinking like claw marks on the stone. So there's something down here which has big claws. Okay. And then I believe we got like momentum or something. Let's get momentum on this, representing us becoming a little bit more wary, that we know there's something dangerous down here. And also feeling a bit more urgent now, because there's still lost children down here that we haven't seen any signs of. So we now delve the depths again. And get a strong hits, which is nice. So you delve deeper, make progress, and find an opportunity. Okay, so we could try to find the kids after this, which could be a fun way to wrap up. Well, this could be a way to wrap up the session, successfully finding children and bringing them out of this weird sea cave. Let's see what opportunity we find. Okay. 59. A clue offers insight or direction. Okay, I think we find something that was dropped, or like the classic a like scrap of cloth from someone's clothes caught on a jagged rock. We find some clear indication of where the children have gone. And let's work out where we are when this happens. And I think we're just still traveling through ancient ruins at this point. Let's go with that. More ruins. A scrap of torn off cloth. The kids went this way. And presumably there's like more of these like claw marks and maybe even like some like big clawed footprints, that sort of thing. So the signs of something around here, but we've not seen anything yet. And I think I want the next move to be to locate the objective. So that means we have to take momentum, as we can't do a progress move with this, which is a shame. So we'll get a little bit more momentum. We hurry on along the way, and let's see if we can locate our objective. Okay, that is a strong hit. We have an 8 and a 1. Both of those are less than 9. On a strong hit, you locate your objective and the situation favors you. Choose one, make another move and add +1, or take +1 momentum. Okay, I think we have the Escape the Depths move, which I think we want this to be the next move we make. So let's work out where we are first. What features do we have here? More watery tunnels or waterborne debris. Okay, so still very watery. We've not really had much in the way of ruins, so I guess this whole place is kind of submerged, partially. More caves / ruins partially flooded now. The sound of a child's voice. Let's say we hear that. So we have found them. And we're like, come on kids, you're safe now, we'll get you out of here. And so let's make another move now and add +1. The move is going to be Escape the Depths. We want to retrace our steps, which is rolling with wits. And we get a +1 because we got a strong hit on locating the objective, so we're rolling with a +4. And that's a brilliant roll, so that is a strong hit there. You make your way safely out of the site, take +1 momentum. So now on 6 momentum. And we emerge with... I wonder how many children there are. Let's go for D12 children, because I've got this D12, so I may as well use it. 6 children. Okay. Right, okay, let's note this down. What do we got here? We arrived in the, let's say, like, late morning. No, not late morning. That means the kids have been there overnight. Let's say we arrive, like, late afternoon. We arrived late afternoon to a village in a panic, apparently in the morning. 6 children playing on the rocks had been caught by the high tide and forced to take shelter in a sea cave known to contain ancient ruins and rumors of worse things, rumors of beasts. The tide has recently gone down. And the kids had not returned. The villagers were debating what to do. I've forgotten my friend's name. Kabira. Kabira and I volunteered to go and entered the cave and crossed the wet rocks to the cave. Slippery rocks. Slippery, wet rocks. There we go. All the key things. Therein, that was a good word to use. We traversed twisting caves, partially flooded, low-lying, some with ceilings so low we had to crawl. At times, we saw ancient ruins, yeah. Now absorbed into the living rock. I'm imagining like a so we got like a carved pillar thing, but it's also kind of been absorbed into like a stalagmite by the dripping of moisture from above. So we have like construction just embedded in semi-translucent rock. Okay, so at times saw ancient ruins now absorbed into living rock. At times we saw claw marks and footprints we could not explain. Luckily, we found the children without first encountering whatever made those marks. I'm gonna ask the Oracle a question. Are the children all okay? They've been in there for like 12 hours. I'm just going to give it a 50-50. We have a 36. No, they are not all okay. Okay. I don't really want to like roll for dead children, so let's just say they've got some like injuries, they saw some things, but they're all alive. Luckily, we found the children and were able to bring them out without encountering what made them back, though the kids had seen something. And yeah, let's just leave it at that. The kids had seen something. Something unnatural. Right, so the villagers rejoiced to be reunited. And the evening was spent in with a feast. Okay, right, this feels like a perfect village to recruit some Christians. You know, I've gone into the darkness and brought back their children. So I think I am going to compel by sharing an inspiring tale of another good Christian who did a similar thing in the past, to plant the seed that through God deliverance can be achieved from all ills. So let us compel. Okay, so I guess I was going with heart. That's kind of what my general religious stat has been. So that's a 5. +1 because I'm using... hang on. Yes, +1. So that is a 6, which is a strong hit. I also get a +1 momentum on a hit, so my momentum is up to +7. On a strong hit, they'll do what you want, or share what they know. Take +1 momentum. Okay, now up to 8 momentum. Alright, so let's say the following morning, after the evening of celebration, I held a service of Thanksgiving. Some of the villagers, let's say parents of the children who I saved, were so impressed, yeah, by my deeds and words that they converted on the spot. I'm going to count this as a milestone towards establishing a church. I think like every good deed I do that gets people talking, I'm going to count. Alright, and then I think before I leave this place, I want to resupply, because I'm low on supply. So I guess I will do that, and then we can wrap up the session after that, and we can begin next time with setting out to the third stop on our journey. Actually, we should have another 3 boxes filled in on this, because we're at our second stop. Okay, resupply. Here we go. When you hunt, forage, or scavenge, I'm not really doing any of those things. I guess I'm doing a sojourn. When you spend time in a community seeking assistance, so maybe I'm spending maybe I'm spending a few days here. Yeah, let's say I spend a few days here. So, let's see, a roll plus heart. If you share a bond, I don't share a bond, but yeah, I don't think I get the +1 for free. I spent the +1 I got from completing the delve on converting some people. So let's just roll plus hearts. Okay, I've got a weak hit. On a weak hit, choose one of these things. On a weak hit, choose one from within the categories below. I'll go for provision, which gives me +2 supply. This is on a hit, you and your allies may each focus on one of your chosen recovery actions and roll plus heart again. On a strong hit, take 2 more for that action. On a weak hit, take 1 more. On a miss, it goes badly and you lose all benefits. I think I'm not gonna risk it. I'm just gonna keep it at this. So I spend a few days, or we spend a few days resting from the journey, gathering new provisions, teaching the newly converted. You know, you can't just convert someone and then the next morning be like, okay, bye. That's how you get heresies. People don't know what to believe properly. Right, so we spend a few days in the village, resting from the journey, gathering new provision, teaching the newly converted, and then set off on the next leg of our journey, which we will pick up next time. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here. So we've made we're making good progress towards establishing a church. Hopefully, the next village we get to, there'll be something we can do there, which would be another bit of progress, and there'll be some stuff we can do in town. We'll presumably need to convince the Jarl there to let us do this, which would count as a milestone as well. So I think we're on track to establishing a church next session. Which is probably going to be a milestone towards converting the Hertug. Don't know. But yes, we'll pick this up next week. So tomorrow I'll be playing some Ars Magica, or playing maybe a strong word. I will be engaging with the mechanics of Ars Magica. I'm going to be making some characters and making a wizard base, like a tower or something where they live in, and doing a little bit of world building, I suppose, just to kind of try it out. And we'll return to Ironsworn next week. So, yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.